Wow, you said a lot there. That was a lot of things, and a lot of reasons that governments, should want to buy Bitcoin. So how much should they buy? Like, say, how much should they buy?
I mean, I think bare minimum, you should look at how much gold that you have as a country and say, okay, well, if I have this much gold, then I should have, the equal percentage with regards to the above ground gold that exists today. This is how Senator Lummis is looking at it. She wants to say the United States have the same amount of the Bitcoin supply as we do of the above gold reserves in the world. So that's why she was pursuing the 1 million Bitcoin. I think that's a rational approach. At Satoshi Action, we have legislation. We're helping we were saying up to, now we're saying at least 10 states. We were saying up to 10 states. We've had so much outreach. It's going to probably be bare minimum 10 states that introduce legislation to start creating strategic Bitcoin reserves. One of the metrics that we used is for them to acquire up to 10% of their treasury in Bitcoin. We didn't just come up with that number out of thin air either. We also use gold as a metric. There is a large gold and silver movement at the state level. A lot of states are pushing and have successfully pushed for legislation to allow the state to buy gold and silver. And we up to 10% of their treasury can be in gold and silver. And we took that number. We said, well, if they're doing sound money, gold and silver, if that's the level that they want to pick for these other monetary assets, then we should have that same we should have that same percentage apply to Bitcoin as well. So we have a 10% number. Some other states are probably going to choose a different number, and other countries are going to choose a much smaller and a much bigger number. Really, I think it's just about right sizing whatever you can get across the finish line. Like, get off zero, right? Like, that's a common line in the space. I don't care how much Bitcoin your country buys. Just start buying Bitcoin. Get off zero as soon as possible, and then start making the decision that's right for your country from there. But at the bare minimum, people need to be just starting to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet at the government level, whether that be at the state level or the federal level.
So reserves, as you said, are for shocks to society. Like ultimately this is for like a backup plan. Like this is to see us through the collapse of the fiat system, theoretically.
The fiat system doesn't need to collapse, though, to be clear, in order for Bitcoin to be successful. I think that the fiat system has risks that are associated in its inherent design that Bitcoin is the insurance for. If you think there's a 1% chance your local currency could fail or hyperinflate or be debased significantly in the next 10, 20, 30 years, you should be buying Bitcoin. That's true for the individual. That's true for the government as well. But just to be clear, fiat doesn't need to fail in order for Bitcoin to be successful. I think there's actually a world where the US dollar and Bitcoin survive and thrive together into the long term. When you think about it this way, stable coins are proliferating across the entire world, especially US stable coins, because the dollar, despite in decline, according to the statistics, is very much in demand by people all across this planet. When I travel all across the world, there is a very significant amount of the global economy that is occurring in dollars. I go to some countries and they can't even get people to use the local currency. They are trying to figure it out. They can't figure it out. All the loans are happening in dollars. They can't figure out how to get the banks to stop doing it because the dollar is so popular and it's in such high demand. Additionally, there is just so much lending that occurs in the dollar that people need dollars all the time to be able to pay on their loans. So I don't think the dollar is going anywhere. I think it's actually going to expand from here. Stable coins like Tether and Circle are going to become very popular all across the world. And the more people use those stable coins, the more there's two good things that are going to happen. More people are going to buy Bitcoin. It's proven fact. Dollar holders, the biggest buyers of Bitcoin. The dollar is the best fiat currency that exists right now globally, and that is accessible. And when people are able to have the dollar as their fiat currency, their lives get better than when they were previously on a different currency. They're able to save more. They're able to spend in the future. They're able to plan for the future, and they're able to buy Bitcoin. They're able to save in Bitcoin. So that's a good thing. We see more people using the dollar. We see more people buying Bitcoin. Also, beyond that, anytime Tether and USDC, whenever someone says, hey, I want to get US dollar stable coins, what they do is they turn around and they use the resources that they've collected, which is significant, and they buy US treasuries. So not only is our stable coins good for Bitcoin and dollar proliferation, they're also good for bringing down rates and making sure that there's demand for US treasuries. So this is a very pro-dollar, pro-Bitcoin world that we're about to enter into. And I think that it's going to start to run away from us. And we need to act now as individuals and with our countries, but also helping other countries as well. The United States is going to lead here, but ultimately I believe that other countries will follow.
So why would they, I agree that Bitcoin could be the future of money, very much so. But why would theoretically you choose a strategic reserve in an asset that's been quite volatile? Like, admittedly, quite volatile over the past. Yes, it's gone up, but it's going up and down. You've had severe bull and bear markets. Like, is that the best thing to be buying as a strategic reserve? Why not just buy gold?
Well, because Bitcoin is the scarcest money in human history, and gold has failed as money. Bitcoin is going to be growing exponentially and also is going to become critically important on the mining front as well. I mean, look at what the Bitcoin miners can do from an energy perspective. They can balance the grid. They can save clean energy. They can save renewables. Really, I talk to renewable energy companies all across the world. They are struggling horribly. They are failing. They are going to go bankrupt, a lot of these renewable energy companies. Some of them already are. It's because they can't sell their power. When you build a wind farm or a solar farm in the middle of nowhere, because you need to go where the wind is strong and the sun is bright in order to be economically efficient, you are far away from where power is being sold. So you have to transport it over very large high voltage transmission lines. That's very expensive, and it's very time consuming to build those. So you have these renewable energy plants sitting in the middle of nowhere, not selling their energy. A Bitcoin mine can be placed right next to one of those wind and solar farms, monetizing 100% of that energy and enabling those renewable energy providers to survive and continue to build. But as Bitcoin mining becomes a bigger and bigger asset to our energy systems, whether that be renewable energy, whether that be balancing the grid, you're going to see a critical need to support Bitcoin mining. And there may be some point in the future when Russia and China and our foreign adversaries say, hey, you know, it'd be great. This Bitcoin mining industry, it's very thin margins, especially in the US. They're mining on very thin margins. Why don't we just suppress the price of Bitcoin for a few months and we just totally eviscerate all the US Bitcoin mining in the United States, which is now critically important to the energy infrastructure. And for those that are in the national security space, everybody knows that grid security is national security. It's a common line amongst energy professionals. We have to protect our grids. We have to make sure our energy systems are secure. Bitcoin mining is going to become a critical tool for that. If Russia and China decide one day, 20 years from now, oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's suppress the price of Bitcoin, hurt the U.S. Bitcoin mining operations, hurt the U.S. grid. That's why I believe it's important for the United States to be in the game of buying Bitcoin, because if the OPEC-minded people of the world say, let's crash the price of Bitcoin so we can hurt U.S. markets and hurt the U.S. grid, the U.S. could step in and start becoming a buyer of Bitcoin. Now, I don't think that actually play out. I think just by being a potential buyer of Bitcoin in the marketplace, those that don't have our interests in mind will take a second pause and think twice about trying to suppress the price of Bitcoin to hurt U.S. markets.
Do you run a business of any kind? Do you want 25% off up to 20 taxi rides? Well, if you sign up to Bolt Business with my promo code, that's exactly what you'll get. You don't have to use all 20 rides, and you can use it for your own business rides or for your employees. It couldn't be simpler. Follow the link in the description and use the code BB25OFF20 to get 25% off 20 taxi rides today. That's BB25OFF20.
Hey everyone, thanks for making it right the way to the end of the podcast. I love that you tuned in this long. Do me a favor, hit subscribe, because 80% of you bastards are not subscribing, but you're watching my videos. See you next time.